Okay, the 5th developer notes just dropped, and it's to do with all the balance adjustments they are making in, preparation for RTA that is coming in December. So I thought I'd cover it since my channel is all about PvP and RTA. And I'll give you guys my thoughts on, each section that they have broken down for us. But without further ado, let's get into it, right? So the first section here that we can see is the basic battle logics adjustments. Basically, the first part here that they're always going to address, just so we know, is the speed adjustment that they have changed at the start of battle, which is already applied, by the way. Basically, I think that this will only affect you if you're playing at the highest level of, arena, where you have two ranges going up against each other at 330 speed. And then that is when that you will actually feel this change, right? If you're not playing anywhere close to, that range, you shouldn't be able to feel it. Because the only thing that this helps you now is where you can now actually speed tune your whole team properly, and you're not going to have a chance where, one of your unit is going to cut the other unit and just ruin your entire combo. So I like this change and I welcome it. I don't think it's a bad thing, right? But enough of that, we already know how it works, yeah? But let's address the elephant in the room here, which, even Smilegate knows about this, which is the revive mechanic, yeah? They've overhauled the entire thing, or they're attempting to overhaul the entire thing, which basically, what we used to have is two types of revival. The first one being a normal one, where, your skill cooldowns are maintained. So if you've already used a skill, you're going to come back with your skill cooldown. And the second one is basically Mayonnaise Resurrection, where you're going to come back with all your skill cooldowns reset, right? What they're going to do now is they're just going to have you come back with all your skill cooldowns reset, but the difference here is that you're going to come back with 50% of your priority at the time of defeat. So if you were defeated or, killed by a unit when you were at 50% priority, you're going to come back with 25% priority. I think this is okay, right? Because considering the fact that you're going to come back with all your skill cooldowns reset already, that gives the opportunity for, the attacker to, at least finish you off again, because they are going to lap you, right? So, by the off chance that you don't, you survive the second onslaught, at least your, entire strategy is still intact in that sense, right? So I don't think that this is a bad thing, but we will have to see how it plays out in game. Yeah, in theory, this is not bad, but in practice, we will have to see, and I will give my final verdict later on. Then the third and fourth section here is basically talking about, your miss rate probability and, the penalties for your miss rate. I think a lot of people have already been asking for this. So basically what they have changed here is that the penalty for, a miss is no longer a final damage reduction of 75%, it's only going to be 50%. So you do a slightly more damage, basically, right? And the probability of you missing hits now is going to be 0 to 15%. I personally am not a fan about this, only because this is just going to open up a whole floodgate where, speed is going to be king all over again, right? Because back in the day, or back then, how we used to counter speed was with evasion, right? So if your entire speed combo, misses, you don't win. And at least the turn 2 player gets a chance to retaliate. Now, you're forced to, somewhat play fast. And if you're not fast and you get lapped over and over again, you're just going to die. So, I'm not sure whether this is a good change, but I understand the sentiment behind it, because missing just feels like shit, right? And I'm a victim of it as well, but at least that gave me the opportunity where I know if I'm not going to be able to outspeed this dude, at least I know I can play tankier, slower, and more evasive, so that I can let them take the first turn and at least I can clap back, right? But I'm not sure. Maybe this is a good change. We'll have to see, right? What do you guys think? You just let me know down in the comments below. Yeah. Then we move on to the second part here, which is the PvP balance adjustments. Basically, this is to do with arena. The first one at least is to do with arena, where now that lightning damage that you usually get after every 15 turns on your on the first rotation, then subsequently 10 turns. Now both the attacking team and the defending team are going to get that lightning damage, right? And if both team dies, the defending team wins. I think this is good because there's a lot of times where, you know, it's just, at least for me when I remember playing, a Teal used to solo me, and not because they can kill me, but because I die to lightning damage, right? At least this way, it is fair-ish, if you know what I mean. So, this is something that we'll have to see. I think that this is not bad, but we'll find out how it feels like when the new season starts, yeah? And the second one is going to be an exclusive league buff, where basically you're going to be getting free effectiveness, basically. I'm not sure how to feel about this, because at the end of the day, it just means that you don't have to build effectiveness anymore, because you're going to be getting it for free, right? That means that you are going to have to, any kind of gear that you have rolled with effectiveness is just going to be, you know, somewhat useless, unless you're, you know, farming Chimera. But we'll have to see how this works out at the end of the day. If this is actually really that strong, then I don't think then resistance stat just becomes the worst stat in the game, in my opinion. But we'll have to see how this plays out at the end, right? So, this being an exclusive league buff, it may change, because I know that in Epic 7 we used to have, you know, where this season, Summoner, Soul Weavers got like 10% extra speed, and the following one, you know, mages had, you know, more speed or more attack or something like that. I knew that they were doing something like this, and I think that they're trying to slowly implement it here as well. So we'll have to see how it plays out here. Then we have the hero balance adjustments, right? So basically a couple of units got buffed or nerfed. First one being Tio, because Tio, especially if you're playing, you know, in the lower ranking of Arena at least, Tio can literally go on forever just spamming her burst S3, burst S3, burst S3, burst S3, and you just can never ever kill her, and you just die to lightning, right? So I understand this adjustment. It's not a big deal, but it may alleviate, you know, the rage or pain when you're fighting against a TO team, especially when you're in the lower ranks of Arena. With Eliza, now her Bloody Roar, which is basically, you know, the bleed that she puts up on 2 random units that ignores resilience, now goes to the highest speed for 2 turns. So for me, that looks like it's just a marking, right? You can mark your opponent's team who has the highest speed and just gun that unit down, because you know that that unit is going to constantly lap you because of how fast it is. I think that this is okay, but I don't think that this has changed Eliza in any way, shape or form in Arena at least. Because if you see an Eliza, chances are you're going to pick a D-Stella, and the second, you know, she presses a S3, you're going to proc Revenge and probably just die from Revenge, if I'm being honest. Then Rona is also getting an entire rework, which is, you know, to be announced. We don't know how she's going to be reworked, but all we know is that her exclusive equipment is going to change. It's going to get this different skill set. So I'm hoping that Rona's going to be good, because I've already invested a lot of time into building Rona, because I think that she was already, you know, decent, at least in RTA, when, you know, it's no longer, you know, a sandbox kind of a scenario. Then we have Damage Estee, who now gets 80% priority after Resurrection. They apparently said that this is the result of the adjustment from the revive mechanic that they're changing, so they're giving her more priority. The way I see it is that she's just basically, if you know Epic 7 Arbiter Vildred, this is basically Arbiter Vildred's, you know, passive now, where let's say you die at, you know, 50%, you come back at 25%, and then she gets 80% boosted to the top. So basically it's just 100%, so she's always going to take the turn after she gets killed. Basically, you just gotta wait for an extinction unit to come. If not, we'll just have to, you know, cope with additional attack units like Noah, or, you know, extra turn units like Ame, right, to deal with damage essay. But that's something to be said about that later on. Eventually she will, you know, phase out the meta, but for now we can clearly tell that she is, you know, the premium, you know, DPS out there. And then overall, they're gonna give, you know, some class stats adjustments, which is mainly to do with, you know, health and defense, since, you know, they are nerfing accuracy and evasion as a stat overall. So back then we used to, you know, survive based off the evasion stat, But now I think that they're moving more into, you know, the EHP of, you know, your units to survive, which is a good change. I like that because that means that you can actually, you know, be more linear with your gearing, if that makes sense. Then we have the equipment balance adjustments, which is only just the Blue Rings White Gem, where, you know, instead of having an 80% chance to increase priority by 15% every time you get a hit, it's not a guaranteed chance that you're gonna get a priority boost by 10% when you get hit, but it's only once per turn. So this necklace actually becomes very niche, right? You basically want to put this necklace on units or defenders that you want them to, you know, push to the front that one time and at least get their skills off. So the first one that comes to mind is obviously going to be Leo, because Leo can never, you know, outspeed a ranger, but you can run him about 230, 240 speed, and basically if he gets hit, he's gonna get pushed up by 10% and then take the turn, drop the S3, and then his job is done. So I like the fact that it is 100% increase, because when you're talking about all these, you know, moving parts, you know, in arena, talking about accuracy, evasion, all that kind of stuff, effectiveness, resilience, at least this is something that is guaranteed. So I like that this no longer becomes, you know, a determining factor on whether you win or lose. And then lastly, we have the PvE balance adjustment, which is just, you know, basically just telling us that what they already said before, where they're going to remove the, you know, that module in the base, and you're just going to, you know, have a much better auto combat experience, basically. It's not much, but at least it's something, right? This is mainly catered towards the newer players who are going to be coming in eventually, so they'll have a much easier time playing the game as a whole. But that's mainly my thoughts about, you know, the 5th developer notes. I am actually really excited about this sentence right here, where they say, in this 5th developer notes, we would like to provide you with the details about the balance elements that will be adjusted in this year's update. Starting with this balance adjustments, we plan to review the overall data approximately every 3 months. So basically what that tells me is that it's almost like, you know, back in E7 days for me, where every 3 months, which is basically a whole season long, they will look at all the data and then they'll provide, you know, with a new balance patch. I think I like this the most, this part here the most, right? Because that means the meta is never ever going to just stay stale. It will always keep you on the toes. It will always keep your community engaged, because now there's more things to theory craft about, and that's what I really want as a community. Because the more we, you know, band together to talk about stuff, the more, you know, excited we get about the game, basically. And this is the part where, you know, they gave us the date, right? Furthermore, as mentioned in the previous developer notes, we are actively preparing for real-time PvP, which is targeted to release in December. This is what I'm excited for. We finally have a month set for, you know, real-time PvP. I don't think that it's something that they plan to delay, especially if they are blatantly, you know, saying December right here, which is a good thing for us. I assume that this is going to come somewhere along the lines of, you know, when we get the new Arena League. So, what are your thoughts? Do you like this, you know, developer notes? I think it is fantastic that they are communicating with us so much, because last week we only just got the 4th developer notes, right? And now, 1 week forward, we already have another developer notes on the balance adjustments. I think this is a good, you know, direction that they are heading towards. A lot of communication with your player base. At least for us content creators, we have something to talk about with the community and engage them further. But besides that, let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you agree with me? Let me know. At the end of the day, this is all about the growth and the health of the game, right? But besides that, that's it from me. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.